Yo guys, it's not morning anymore, so I'm not gonna give you the typical good morning guys, but last evening Dion's gonna be here. I'm taking him to the airport tomorrow morning. We're gonna have some medista, some of the stuff he liked here the most, mostly because it's cheap. And then some potatoes, and I'm gonna make a typical Danish brown gravy as well, with the food coloring for gravy. Also, I used to hate this growing up, but I'm gonna make some fried onions for that as well. It's gonna get some of the flavor imparted from this, and the salt and the pepper as well. It's gonna be pretty good. I'm definitely looking forward. I'm just gonna get started right away. Not really a lot is gonna be happening in today's video. We're just gonna be eating some dinner, and I guess after that I'm just gonna fill out the rest of the video with me talking. Yeah, probably just talking about my concerns and my plans for what I'm gonna be doing now that Dion's leaving. But yeah, let me get started. Check out this meal. Last supper before Dion leaves. It's gonna be pretty good. I already tasted every single thing here. It's immaculate. I'm gonna see if we can put something on the TV and watch something together. Itadakimasu. That was delicious. I'm gonna go have a cigarette in the bathroom. Alright guys, here we go. I haven't really recorded anything today. Just nothing really happened today. Dion's sleeping. I can't really sleep. I mean, I gotta get up early. I'm probably gonna go to sleep eventually. But I figured I'm just gonna talk to you guys for a little bit today, considering that there's not really a lot of footage here, and I kind of dislike squeezing 2 days into one video. So let me just talk to you about my concerns and my plans in light of Dion leaving now. Don't get any misconceptions. It's not that I'm angry at Dion or anything like that for leaving, you know. We're both adults. He's not responsible for me. But him leaving is kind of leaving me in a rough situation, considering that my plans was for him to pay the food budget for the next, well, at least the 3 months that we had envisioned being in Turkey. And also another 3 months after that, traveling around in Europe after his EU visa had, what do you call it, renewed, so we'd be able to get back in there. That was the whole reason for going to Turkey for 3 months. But yeah, my plans now, I recognize I'm not going to be able to sleep outdoors in Denmark for December, January especially, and February as well. It's going to be quite cold in February, hell, even in March, but I could survive sleeping outdoors in March in Denmark. I mean, I could survive sleeping in Denmark throughout the entire winter, but it wouldn't be fun. I don't want to just survive, you know, that's not really the point of this. I feel like I've been surviving for all of my adult life, whether or not I've been working a job and having an apartment. I'm over the whole survival thing. I want to live now. You know, life is short, and the older you get, the more rapid the progression of time is experienced, and I have done far too much survival. And so, in light of that conclusion, I have decided I'm just gonna go to Southern Europe myself, and I consulted myself with ChatGPT which countries would be the warmest during these 3 months that are the roughest to stay here in Denmark, and it said I either go to South Portugal, south of Spain, or southern Greece. And considering I've lived in Portugal for years, I've lived in Spain for years, multiple times, I think Greece is a good place to go, especially considering it was my mom's favorite place that she ever went to, and it just has a lot of historical significance, and there's a lot of ruins I would like to sleep in there. No, none in specific but maybe it doesn't even have to be a ruin, maybe just some old abandoned building. It doesn't have to be thousands of years old, but you have to be careful when camping in these archaeological sites, you know. That's where you run into the possibility of the police potentially finding you and kicking you out and all that. So I understand that it's not a good idea to go sleep in ruins that are close to roads and that are touristy in nature with a lot of people visiting them. But maybe I could find some kind of abandoned shack that's maybe 100 years old or a bit more, and sleep in that for a night. There's just a lot of beautiful places there, and of course the temperature, especially in southern Greece, is very bearable. It's basically like turning back time multiple months when it comes to temperature relative to what it is now in Denmark, relative to what it was months ago. So yeah, going to Greece is it. Also, for personal reasons that are kind of difficult to get into. I don't really want to get too much into my my emerging, more spiritual worldviews. I mean, it's not really personal. I mean, I could share them with you. It's just not really what this channel is about. I don't want to put too much emphasis on that stuff. But there's something, just to put it shortly, there's something within me, or maybe actually not even within me, something from outside of me that is telling me that I need to go to Crete to have a certain type of an experience there. And it is more than just intuition, it is more than just a wish or a fantasy or something like that. It is like an instruction from outside of myself that is just resonating with every cell of my body. It just feels like something I need to do, to go to Crete, to have a certain type of experience I'm not gonna get into the details of here. And I'm very motivated to do it, especially considering that it seems time sensitive to me. It seems like it's something I should be doing within the next 3 months or so. So it just lines up perfectly with how it's going to be cold here in Denmark for at least 3 months. My plan is to sell whatever I can that I have lying around that I don't need. Like my old hiking backpack, and I got a few other bits and bobs that I can sell secondhand, and then to just scrape together some more money and, you know, just get a tiny little budget of, I don't know, like between 5,000 and maybe 8,000 Danish to go there, just to have some kind of a buffer to be able to afford cheap foods like pasta, and also ethanol, you know, rubbing alcohol for the alcohol stove. But I do have the fishing rod, and I do have a lot of equipment for the fishing rod, and I would be able to hopefully sustain myself with, well, maybe not sustain myself, but get some free calories by fishing. And maybe if I'm lucky, you know, strangers will show me some goodwill and offer me a loaf of bread here and there. Maybe I'll be able to pick some fruits, some wild fruits or nuts or something like that. Just trying to keep the food budget as light as possible, because I'm not going to be able to save up a lot of money. So I'm going to have to stretch it, especially considering that I'll also need money for internet and rubbing alcohol for cooking. I imagine it's probably not a good idea to start making too many campfires. That is something you could get yourself into trouble with in different areas, but I know that fishing is legal all over Greece as long as you just use a fishing rod, no other equipment like nets or harpoon guns or anything. So if I just use a fishing rod, I should be able to fish anywhere, and the seas there should be quite plentiful. And I'm a decent fisher, so I should be able to catch something. And I know how to fillet a fish now myself, how to gut and fillet a fish, and yeah, it's it's something I can definitely see as being realistic, even with a very small budget. Um, Sustaining myself, hopefully mostly off of fish and wild fruit and people's goodwill, and then just have this money to be able to get internet and also, maybe rolled oats. I checked it out. It's quite expensive there compared to in Denmark, so I'm gonna have to find alternatives that are calorie dense and but it's difficult to find something with as many vitamins and micronutrients as rolled oats has. So I'm just gonna have to be careful not to only eat fish and fruit and such. I also need to get some different grains or whatever else, and for that it's important to have some money also. I'm gonna eventually need money whenever I do return because I gotta get in order to travel down through Europe, my route is gonna be I'm gonna take a train to Sweden where I'll be able to catch a ferry to go to the northwestern part of Poland, and then I'll travel all the way from there down to Slovakia, and then through Slovakia into Hungary, and then from Hungary into Serbia, and from Serbia into North Macedonia, and from there into northern Greece, and then just all the way down. My real concern is how long is it gonna take me to save up a modest budget for food? Because if it takes me a month to save up that money, that means I'm gonna be traveling through Poland and Slovakia and Hungary in quite brutal cold, potentially with a lot of rain as well. It could get really brutal, guys. I'm kind of dreading that. And the longer I take to save up this money, the more brutal the weather's gonna get. I really just want to get out of here as quickly as possible. But thankfully, the friend who lets me stay in this apartment, he has said that there is no rush. I can just take my time. He hasn't even said within reason or anything. He's just, Mike told me this guy is my brother for life. I mean, I've only known him for like a third of how long I've known you, but he's a brother for life, and I want you to also, to the best of your ability, get to the same kind of relationship with him. And I just told him, listen, if you tell me that he's a brother for life for you, that means he's also going to be my brother for life. I mean, it may take us a little while to get close to each other, but I'll definitely do my best. And it's not just to please him, but because I know for Mike to say something like that is no joke. And so, of course, I let this friend know after his death that Mike told me this and that I intend to live up to it and to foster our brotherhood. And he has really gone above and beyond, both while Mike was alive and also now, and said that he agrees and that he also wants for me to be a brother for life. So he's really helping me out, letting me stay here, which at least means that I don't have to sleep in a tent out in the negative Celsius, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't really have the proper equipment. I have a summer sleeping bag, and yeah, I'm not really set up for the cold like that. I thought I was going to be in Turkey in a few weeks, but yeah, this is my plan roughly. I don't want to drag it on too long. I could go on and on for 20 more minutes talking about this kind of stuff, but these are just my rough plans. And the reason that I'm going through the countries that I'm going through, train in Sweden to the ferry to Poland, then driving all the way from Poland through Slovakia, through Hungary, through Serbia, through North Macedonia into Greece, is because all of those countries are basically the most receptive countries towards electric unicycles in all of Europe. So instead of going through Bulgaria and Romania or through like Austria or something like that, where I could potentially face issues with the cops, potentially even confiscation, I'm trying to limit the possibility of any kind of big issue arising as it pertains to the electric unicycle. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take me. It's gonna be roughly 2,000 to 2,400 kilometers. And depending on how fast I go on the electric unicycle and how far I ride and the weather circumstances and the cold and all that, and how often I can find a place to charge it up, I should be able to do, I mean, at least 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers a day. And of course, it also depends on what speed I'll be able to go. Of course, if I'm on very highly trafficked roads, I'm gonna stay away from highways. I may want to go a bit slower just in case of the police showing up. Whereas if I am in a place that's completely devoid of cars, I can go a lot faster, 40, 50 kilometers an hour, you know, even with my full backpack. So it really just depends. And of course, it also depends on finding a place to charge up the wheel. Like I don't want to get to like 20 to 10% power before I start looking for a place. Preferably, I wanna like ride it down to like 33%, you know, a third of the battery before I start looking for a place. Because then if I ride slow, at least I'll have like 50 to 70 kilometers worth of charge to find a place, and I should be able to find a McDonald's or a cafe or a library or something like that, right? So yeah, I'm just trying to slowly plan it out. I imagine I'm probably gonna go through a lot of rubbing alcohol in the beginning of the journey, going through Poland in the cold of December, just to heat up the tent, because it's gonna be cold setting it up. Like my fingers are already freezing after being outside for just a few minutes, and I mean, of course I got some gloves from Mike, but I imagine it's gonna be pretty brutally cold. So yeah, I'm probably gonna end up having to burn a lot of rubbing alcohol in my Trangia to heat up the tent, to stay warm, to stay sane. But still, it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be some brutal nights. But yeah, those are my rough plans. I'm not gonna take up too much more of your time. I'm trying to keep these videos under 20 minutes. I feel like that's kind of the best length for these. I wish I could have taken care of this before I leave. I hope it's not gonna get much worse while I'm outside of the country. It's just, I don't have, apparently, as a Danish citizen, I no longer qualify for free healthcare unless I have an address. That didn't used to be the case, but yeah, nowadays I only qualify for acute issues, like if I'm in a traffic accident or something life-threatening, then I have free healthcare. But if it's for stuff like this, cosmetic stuff, stuff that isn't really important, I would need an address to have it taken care of for free. Otherwise, it's going to be thousands of Danish kroner, and I simply cannot afford that. I need to save up money for food to get the hell out of here in a hurry. But yeah, this was a bit of a different video. Not really a lot happened today. It's just been me and Dion's last day together. And then we're gonna be leaving early in the morning after we eat some breakfast. I'm gonna drop him off in the airport, and then I'm gonna go over to Nadja's place. I gotta take care of Jason later that day. I'm just trying to be there for her as much as possible, and for Jason as well. I'm gonna be there for a few days. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.